Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Zanele if you're joining us for the very first time, and if you are returning, welcome back. Thank you so much. Please guys, if you're returning, please feel free to comment below or just send me other messages on my Instagram with new topics or any ideas that you might have. I would like to create content which is more directly directed to what you are currently are in your arts career or creative career, or specifically speak to the questions that you might have. So please feel free to engage me. I don't mind that. Remember, I'm learning, you're also learning, we're all learning. So I don't know everything. I'm also sharing based on what I've experienced. So yeah, please feel free to just comment, like, share, and subscribe, and also just pop in some questions either on my Instagram or just down below on each video or even this video. Okay, so like I said, I had posted on my Instagram stories and I asked Oguti what topics would people like me to speak into or about, and got a few, and I only chose these two because um, I've heard people talk about them, and it's been quite a challenge when you are an emerging artist. So maybe I would like to share what I had to consider before going ahead, especially with pricing artwork. So the other topic was basically talking about the relationship between, or rather the question which was posed was me speaking more into the relationship between the curator and an artist. But I think I'll grapple that a bit more later, and it would be nice to actually bring in a curator and just have a actual conversation as an artist with the curator, just to also hear their more insightful knowledge or information, and so that we have a proper conversation between the artist and a curator, so that I'm not speaking on behalf of the curator. Since I'm not a curator, I know about curators or curatorship, but I think it might be more helpful to actually bring in someone who's more informed by that. So just keep watch with that, and I will let you guys know um, more about that. But for this specific video, so let me not move around a lot. With this specific video, I'll be talking about pricing artwork. And I think it's a valid question how to price artwork, because there's an idea that galleries know what they're doing or the artists know what they're doing. And mainly part of it is just have a conversation, right? It's like selling any product, even if it's not an artwork, even if it's, I don't know, a car or any objects that people sell. There has to be a conversation and laws and rules around that, so that the person who is selling and the person who's making gets a fair share of the deal. So please don't mind me. I just wrote a few things down so I don't forget. I think there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points when I was preparing, which I feel might be quite specific. Of course, this is a short video, and so just keep in mind that I'm going to try and speak about this 5, 6 points, but obviously not in too much depth, because I just want this video not to be too long either. So I think the first thing is to talk about, for us to talk about, is actually value. Okay, and when you're pricing an artwork, value is a great part of it. So one has to determine what is value. Okay, and why do you find the artwork valuable? Why does a buyer find the artwork valuable? When was it made? Is it being made by an emerging artist or a promising artist, or has been made by someone who's been an artist for like 20, 30 years? All those small things factor in the cost and the price and the value of the artwork. So for instance, if you just graduated from varsity and you are in the art world, it's your year one, maybe your artwork might not necessarily be that pricey, but at the same time, if you have shown in a lot of galleries or even a museum, then the value of your artwork does change. So, and I don't want to use this term, but I'm going to use it, branding. It's like branding. A Gucci bag might not necessarily cost the same as maybe a Nike, the Nike brand, right? Not because they're not valuable, but because of what the either the company or the people who made the particular product believe, right? So that's why in the other video I said it's very important to be mindful with the brands that you associate yourself with, because it's not just a brand, it's more than a brand. It's also putting value and also believing in something or the particular brand, right? And when I say believe in something, is it status? Is it are you believing in the arts part of it? Are you believing in the craft part of it? So when it comes to value, as an artist, you have a privilege to decide how much something costs. But that's one part of it. There's another thing, or rather other factors to factor in, which I'm going to mention later on. Okay, so what causes value? People determine what's valuable. You also determine what's valuable. So it's not something you pick out of the tree and say this is valuable. So my next topic, which is also closely to, or rather my next point, which is closer to related to value, is taste. People are interested in different things, which is okay. People have different tastes in things, and basically taste is basically your interest, for lack of a better word. So my taste might be in streetwear, and when I associate streetwear, maybe I could link it up to a Nike brand. Or elegance, I might maybe refer or closely related to Dior or something like that, or Gucci, or whatever the case is. And luxury and high-end luxury, and that is obviously created by the people who buy into the products, the people who buy into the idea of either a certain lifestyle. All right, so that's taste. So I personally, I'm not a flashy person, and I don't mind people who are flashy. It's, to each their own. But because I'm not a flashy person, maybe that becomes my taste. Okay. And then it also speaks to the things that I value. So for example, would I pay 60,000 Rand for a painting? Maybe I would, because I value art and I understand the relationship between arts and arts and culture and history. And I do believe that there's so much to learn from certain objects that people have made in order to contribute to culture and society. Okay, given different themes. Okay, so taste and value, and then also materials. Okay, so remember, I'm just pointing out things that will most likely play a part in how much you price your artwork. Okay, so materials. So the material part of it also can be quite tricky, because if you have met, for example, I don't want to speak about Dadaism because that's a whole other thing that I need to explain, the different art movements. But if, for example, I'm just trying to think of an artist, not a street artist. Okay, fine, I'm not going to mention an artist. But if I make an artwork out of canvas, which is a fabric stretched on a wooden frame, that will cost me certain amounts of money. And if I use a different type of what you call this canvas, maybe in a much more expensive canvas, there's a word for it, I forgot what it's called, or even if I use oil paint, which is also quite pricey, more than watercolors, and also more than acrylic paint, that's a different cost. But even if I'm not painting and I decide to make an installation, and I just buy old maybe used glasses, and I put them in a gallery space, that changes the entire context of the artwork. So that also adds on to the value, right? That's why one of the issues, or not necessarily issues, some people have a problem with galleries being in suburban areas where people can't necessarily reach out and commune to the city. Why aren't galleries in maybe Elokshin or in a township or things like that? So context also plays a part in how much something costs. For example, maybe a bottle of water in Sandton might be 30 Rand. I'm just saying, right? And maybe Elokshin or in a different space, it might be 20 Rand or even 10 Rand, okay? Point is, it's still water, but because of branding and environment and the context in which it's sold, that also changes the value of the work and also then increases the price of the work. Okay, but so that's material, right? So when you factor in how much something costs, just like any business, you are going to first factor in how much something costs in order for you to make it something else. Whereas in art, it's a bit tricky because if my materials cost, let's say, 1,000 Rand, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to now double it and charge my painting 2,000 Rand. Okay, so now the other factors of taste come in, the other factors of the history of the artist comes in. Have I shown in other places? Have I built a brand behind my name? Is it something that someone would like to invest in? And then that kind of gives an overview of the cost of the artwork. And some of these things are quite interrelated, okay? So just follow with me. So then also, I wrote here art seed. So artsy is basically just channeling the zeitgeist of the moment. So meaning what's happening within the space that you're in. Why are certain things cost so much? For example, black hair and maintaining black hair is quite trendy now, and a lot of people are selling. I don't say a lot, but people are focusing more on maybe uh, black hair and weaves and so forth, or not saying weaves, even Afro hair products, because 30, 40 years ago it wasn't a thing, or it wasn't as celebrated as it is now, and which is quite beautiful to see black people owning themselves, which they should have, you know. But the point that I'm trying to make is being mindful of the context and what's, I don't want to say what's trending. You can make any type of artwork, you don't have to follow a trend, but I think it does play a part in terms of what also artists make at the time, given where they are and the surroundings, which speaks to the art they eventually make. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Let me just make a small example, so that maybe there's a bit of clarity. In South Africa, the South African music scene, Abo, Brahim, Masigel, and them were also speaking into the life they were living, or rather exposed to at the time, right? Which has somehow, there's been a relationship between that, or the movement then and now. Okay, even though Champagne, the 2000 might be speaking into a different reality or speaking about different subjects, but they too are speaking about the current times now. And the next 20, 20, 10, 10, 20, 30, 40 years, there might be a different topic or conversation thereof, right? So also with arts and charging for an artwork, you also look at the space in which this thing has been made, or the context in which the artwork is basically about, or the conversations around the artwork. Okay, and then which then also the market. So I'm not a financial business advisor. No, this is just me from what I've been seeing for myself. So please don't hold me to it. It's just my experience, and also just learning through what I've been like managing and selling my own artwork. So it's quite important to be aware of a market, because then it helps you charge uh, for put a price on the artwork you're going to charge, right? So for example, if I sell something locally, meaning in South Africa, and I sell it for 30,000 Rand, maybe in America or in other countries, I wouldn't necessarily sell it for 30,000 Rand. I might sell it for 60 or 45,000 Rand. Okay, but of course that now that you must factor in shipping, tax, and all of those components which going to add onto the price in which you're going to put onto your artwork. Okay, so whereas if I sell something for 30,000 locally, I might maybe end up paying at most like 1,000 Rand, depending if it's going to Cape Town, or how I'm delivering it, or if it's someone within my radius, I might send a driver there, I might send an Uber there to drop it off. So maybe it might not be as expensive. But at the same time, going back to value, it doesn't mean the value of the artwork then changes. Okay, so a Gucci bag in the States is still a Gucci bag in South Africa. And sorry for going on with Gucci. I just feel like it's a it's one of those brands which people for some reason I feel like might understand. Maybe not Gucci, whatever other brand which you might feel is valuable to you. That the value of that brand isn't going to change because of where it's placed. Okay, but of course that takes years to develop, and also given how many people are aware of the brand. Okay, so be mindful of the market, which will help you price the artwork. And then closely to relate to that too is the gallery. So most galleries, they would ask maybe for 40-60 or 50-50, 60 to the artist, 40 to the gallery, or 50-50. Given that maybe the artist has made obviously the artwork and bought the materials, and possibly the gallery might collect the artwork, or you might drop it off, or they might drop it off afterwards. And if there's sales, then the split, and then obviously there's VATs included in that. And also given is then the person buying the artwork from the gallery going to either buy the artwork, for example 60k, and then add money for delivery or shipping, or is the gallery going to ship the artwork and then still the buyer what you call this buys the artwork. Okay, I hope I'm being clear, guys. If I'm not being clear in one of these points, I know I'm saying a lot and it's a mouthful. Please feel free to just question me at the bottom, then I'll respond with more clarity. And then also with that, depends. What type of gallery is it? Is it a contemporary gallery? Is it a gallery that's been around for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? Do they have international clients? The minute you associate yourself with the brand or the gallery, are you expected to make money from it? Or is it what type of space and what type of grouping and people or class or lifestyle is that gallery in? And also, before I move on, if you're creative, it's okay also to take your work to small galleries. I found that when you work with small galleries, it gives you time to work on your craft too. It gives you time for either the creator or the gallery owner to critique your work, and it grows before maybe you want to take it more international. Okay, moving swiftly along. And then I wrote here, just be happy with the amount of money also. Sorry, not the amount of money. Be happy with how much you charge your artwork. It's very important because some some artists, for example, might be desperate and undercharge for the artwork, only to find maybe someone wants to buy alternative art pieces, and then you lose out, and then they gain. And also maybe that person might take your work and resell it to someone else, or whatever the case is. And also because they're going to keep it for years, so that's also is already an investment on their part. So be mindful, Uguti, when you let go of your work, at least be happy with how much money you are going to get from it, and make sure you're at peace with that. At the same time, remember, nothing is fixed. There's always room for negotiation. There's always room to talk. And also, with that said, before I close up, always have, always have, sorry, someone is calling me. Always have a contract or something written. And this is not to say don't trust galleries or people, but because just like any business, things have to be written down, work being delivered, proper pictures, just being professional. And if a gallery comes to you and they say, we would like to sign you, look around who's in the gallery space, which artists are part of, are signed under the gallery, and get someone to read your contract first, right? And also then if you're not signed under a gallery and you are an independent artist, also look into how you price your work, how you deliver your work, so that you are at least happy with how much you actually charge for your work. Okay, I think this is actually one of the longest videos, but I tried to just swiftly go through at least surface level type of information, and I hope this is going to be helpful to you. And it would be lovely to continue speaking about how to price the artwork. If you feel like I wasn't too clear or you have more questions, hit me up, and then maybe I'll break it down a bit more, or call a friend who is a bit more informed than I am. Okay, so thank you so much, and for the questions and the interaction on Instagram. I hope this has been helpful, and yeah, I think I'll end here. Okay, thank you and take care. Bye.